v.h.s.x? What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back. We're playing some more Freddy, and we're going to try to break down some of these matches so you can see what a pro Freddy looks like. So, let's dive right in. Alright. So off the bat here we have Corrupt active. We know all the people are going to be spawning toward that general direction. We're going ahead and placing down a little droplet just for fun, considering it was during the event. And then we just kind of start, making our way over. Now, obviously, the Ash is just kind of standing there staring at me. I had actually assumed they would fake the vault there, but they actually just committed to it. So I figure, well, if he's just going to, be around that area, I don't really need to chase him that much because I need to find who is actually on the actual, gens and stuff like that. He immediately drops the shack pallet. So then I can immediately replace it with a dream pallet, but I'm just trying to keep an eye out as to what gen they're trying to work on. So I figured there should be somebody around this area, I would have assumed. Maybe I could place on another dream pallet, but ideally I want to focus on people who are actually on the generators to provide the most amount of pressure. Now I kicked a gen, everyone falls asleep at this point, pretty good stuff. I figured I would rotate around that way to try to catch somebody off guard, or catch somebody on the generator. We get the hit on Dwight, solid, right? So ideally, right, I'm trying to find a way around the wall, but it is swamp, so the path thing's a little strange. It's got a lot of hills and stuff like that. Very, very strange looking map, honestly. Now, we have two dream pallets side by side. He is asleep, so he does end up getting down because of the dream pallet. Now, obviously, they attempt to go for the blind. I wonder if I actually placed down the dream pallet if they would have attempted to go for the dream pallet save. Because, funny enough, survivors will actually attempt to try to save with your dream pallet because obviously they don't know it's not a real pallet. So there's actually been a lot of times where I was actually able to capture that while I was playing the game. So that's pretty cool. And hopefully I'll be able to include that in a dedicated video. But as you can see here, this guy's awake, so we know that's why we're placing down just random dream pallets in the process of that. Because he's awake anyway. He's not gonna see it, so that's why I figured it's my opportunity to place it down so he doesn't, so that he can't really call it out, obviously, stuff like that. Whatever have you. Now we're focusing on Dwight because you can see here that there's at least maybe 1 to 2 gens that are being progressed very rapidly, and what we're trying to do ultimately is try to get the Dwight out of here. Now, smart on his part is at least trying to waste as much time as he can. I can give it that, that's what you should be doing. But he does end up getting downed. Now, I know the last thing that we're working on is over there, so that's why I want to try to kind of seem as if I'm going to leave the area, so that then I can go for the pickup freely and begin to, to apply the most amount of pressure by getting the Dwight on the hook for the second time. Deadlock does activate. It seems like now we know they're working on the main building gen. So now what we can do is start to get some free hits on other survivors, but we don't commit to the chase because we know that it's going to allow more people to want to come in for the save, and that's what we ultimately are looking for. And as you can see, the Yoichi can't save now. That's going, and also because that gen is blocked, that might corral more people to move in for a save. So now we have Ash here. We get an M1 on Ash. That also eliminates somebody from being able to save. And then now, obviously, now that brings Kate out to come save. Now she's going to go try to body block, because I've been going after the Dwight for the second time now. Now the third time. So we can obviously apply the most amount of pressure. Now he's running into main. That's good for us. We're like, okay, cool. Now we know what gen they want to work on. Kate's trying to fly in front of me. That doesn't work. And then I use that to get the pickup here. Now, obviously, what I want to do is get the cursor up there, so I can start to fake the teleport up there to kind of pressure them to push away from the gen. They nearly got the blind somehow, even though I was facing the wall. We got a free M1 on the Ash. We figured they're gonna try to get in the way, try to go for some kind of blind or whatever reason. And I was trying to listen in, but the audio was a little bit off there. Now, I was trying to actually teleport to the top there, but unfortunately, the cursor just did not really reach it. We try to go for the M1 there. He does try to go slam down pallets for whatever reason. He ends up slow vaulting. I'm assuming out of his cockiness, he ended up just getting a slow vault off. And then obviously that allows me to you know, go for the pickup. Now the angle I took here was purposeful because the way that they had, as you saw from where Kate had to rotate from, she would literally have to go all the way around that pallet area and go all the way around or the window and stuff like that, and that gives me plenty of time to go for the pickup. Now if I had picked up any other way, I more than likely would have gotten blinded some way somehow, but it's little things like that that allow you to get the most amount of pressure. Now we got the pickup there. They're of course once again shining their beamer, losing their minds, and obviously that's when we go ahead and just grab the Yoichi off of the generator, and now we can create the most amount of pressure again. Because look at it now, right? Look at us now. We already have 3 gens done, but look, now we have 2 people off the hook, on a hook, I should say. We were able to get them off the gens for a bit. We got somebody eliminated at the 2 gen mark because we knew that the gens were going to be very, very quick, very rapid. We already knew that was coming, so we then prepare in advance by getting somebody out of the game so that we can keep up that same speed, to keep up the same pace of the match. In some matches like this, you're gonna have to use the strategies that are frowned upon in order to gain an advantage. And you can't really be listening to those Survivor players that like to complain about these kinds of things, because ultimately they're more so focused on their own win instead of the killer winning at all, and they want to make sure that you know, less people are you know, realizing that you can use these strategies to gain an advantage as possible so they can have easier matches. Now keep in mind that, you know, in this particular situation, as you see, like they're definitely trying their best to win the game. They're trying their hardest to rush out the objective as fast as humanly possible, in that sense, right? So because we have that sort of thought process in mind, I figure we already have the Ash on the second state that's going to force them to come for the save. We can just go for Yoichi now. We know that the Kate is on our team because she's running around with a flashlight. That gives me a bit of time to attempt to go for this guy. Now, I'm trying to rotate around in a way that he doesn't really expect. That's why we're trying to rotate around in a weird way and not follow him directly. Because a lot of the time you will be able to end up mind gaming them a bit because they are very used to utilizing, you know, the check spot, and you're like gonna follow them direct, and then, you know, they can just keep countering it and like getting free vaults off. Now I did have off the record, so that was a mistake on my part. Definitely gonna play that better. Kate slamming down a pallet. You see I fake the teleport there. She starts booking it back towards where I'm at, because remember, they see me teleporting to that direction and they think, oh yeah, he's gonna teleport here, I can just run away from him. And that's exactly, you know, in itself a mind game, right? Because Freddy in itself, like, is already like sort of the, you know, the mind game master, if you will. Now obviously here I had actually gone for the swing because a lot of survivors will tend to just vault, you know, in the middle of nowhere. Like they'll just randomly vault, so I wanted to just, like, I had that gut feeling like maybe they might try to vault just out of nowhere. So I was like, let me at least attempt it just to be safe, but obviously they just kind of continued to run away. So obviously a mistake on my part, but it was sort of, you know, just my my instincts, as well as you know, as to what they may do. Now we then down Yoichi again because we figured that he's just going to, you know, provide once again more pressure. They do slam down some pallets. That gives me aura readings. So that gives me information now. I'm like, all right, cool. So now we know they're over there. This is good for me. We can start making our way over. Which now we can then take a look, which they are finishing a generator. So as you can see, like, we're trying to move as quick as we can here, but we're also providing the most amount of pressure here because they're constantly trading out the hooks. But I realized I can probably just get Yoichi out of the game. We are at the 1 gen mark, so obviously we want to focus on getting them out of the game, or the Ash. Either one would be actually a really good decision to make. Now Kate's obviously behind me clicking, or whoever that is clicking. Which is probably not a smart move, because if you do want to go for the save, you may not want to do something like that to sort of imply that you're going to go for the save, you know, in that sense. So I pick up directly in front of his face, in itself as a mind game, because they did not expect me to just pick up directly in front of him. And then obviously Ash was out of the game, and now we start focusing on the Yoichi as well. Now we know that he's probably on death hook, so I wanted to try to find where Kate was to try to get at least a little bit more points and go for a 4K potentially. But obviously I wasn't really keeping an eye out on that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think Yoichi was the one on the hook, so that's also why I wasn't chasing him, because he did have off the record, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why I didn't chase him. Anyway, I figured that the only one that could touch the generator without losing endurance, would obviously be the Kate. So I figured I'd just check where the gens are. And obviously Yoichi, if he, heals her, he's gonna lose the endurance as well. So it's ultimately like we don't have to chase him in this particular situation. Sometimes you kind of have to. Now here is where we're going to showcase something very interesting. We do once again commit to faking the teleport there. We commit to faking the teleport. But we fake the teleport while we're like under the thing, so that it can look as if like we're legit going to commit to that that action. And then it does end up making them drop down, which allows once again another mind game, because of the fact that they see the image of Freddy like pop up like right on that generator, and then that gives you the option, to corral them. And you're gonna see that in this gameplay, at least before as well. I was able to corral the Kate to go back toward where I was without even noticing, because of the fact that they assumed that I would commit to the teleport, because it is quite convincing. But ultimately, you like in itself, if you teleport or don't teleport is sort of a mind game as well that you can utilize. Like a lot of the time, you could even use it in chase when they're running toward a gen to make them think that you'll commit to the teleport, which may gain some distance or corral them away from an area you maybe don't want to really chase in. So now the Kate obviously gives up out of embarrassment of getting finessed so heavily by a pro Freddy, which is understandable. They think that he's the weakest in the game, so I can understand. Their ego can't take it. They got to fly out of the lobby, so it makes sense. So now we're just looking around for the Yoichi. We're trying to figure out what we do here, in that sense, right? So obviously we're looking for Hatch. We just need to figure out where that is. We're looking at the usual area, but Swamp does kind of have that weird spawns. So that's why we're just kind of checking toward the corners of the map, but we do find Yoichi here. He ends up dropping the pallet, which is very strange. I guess he kind of hesitated, which does allow me to get the down pretty easily. And then obviously means we can just go ahead and replace it with our nice little dream pallet for some extra points. And then we can go ahead and place him on a hook. And we can just then go ahead and move on to see what were they running, what were the builds, and then we'll move on to the next game. But hopefully you guys are enjoying the content so far. If you leave a like if you haven't already. We still have about 2 more matches I'm going to review, so you guys can kind of get an idea of how I play Freddy and how I use his powers to allow more mind game potential and advantages. And we'll quickly take a look at the builds there, as you can see right about there, and then we'll jump right into the next one. So they had actually sent me to the Shattered Square in this gameplay you're gonna see here, and I actually went with the paintbrush add-on. Definitely one of the best add-ons for Freddy. And if you really want a quick tip as to what are the best add-ons, you're definitely going to be running any palette add-on. I personally like using the paint thinner, as it provides the highest amount of palettes while also providing the longest amount of aura reading. But any palette add-on will work. Now you're gonna see here I actually was pretending I didn't see the Meg to try to gain as much distance as I could. But of course, low skill survivors need to run sprint bursts, so they have some kind of advantage at the start of the chase to artificially extend. Now you're gonna see here we obviously got a free M1, very good for me. They're already waking up, as you can see that, but like we're already creating a little bit of slowdown passively. Now the other aspect that I will mention about the add-ons, the paint brush will allow the survivors to not only start the match while asleep, but also it'll mean that they won't be able to wake up from missed skill checks. So then that'll allow you to at least be able to gain a little bit more of the sleep state value. So that also means that you can place down a couple of pallets that they really don't expect, honestly. Now the first gen did get rushed out pretty fast, but that's obviously why we use deadlock and stuff like that to give us the information. We're able to hook Meg within the range of that next most progressed gen, which we know has a pretty decent amount of progress. So from here, we're able to then defend the area because we have, you know, the defense of the gen with the most progress. We have the defense of the first person that got unhooked, and then they just finished completing a generator. So once that, you know, we can now just kick it just for, you know, I guess just to let it regress. I guess it wasn't much progress to begin with, but it allows them to try to close the gap while I am still breaking the generator. Now, we're going to make sure we hit Meg there. They did sound pretty quiet, so in most cases like this, you just want to make sure that you're able to eliminate the off-the-record option, because you know, it does last quite a bit of time. Now, they are slamming down Dream Pallets that just waste more of their own time. Now, we just get the free M1 again, knocking down Meg pretty easily. Like I've said before, Sprint Burst is definitely going to be a very, you know, low skill ceiling type of perk. I mean, you just run away for free. So it's not it's not really the greatest perk. Now, we do bait them to vault that window so that they can waste more time. You know, that's why we just kind of faked that we're going that way. We placed on another Dream Pallet and stuff like that. And we also have defense of yet the same 2 generators as before. And then this particular corner of the map does have a pretty decent spread. So if we do need to hold on to this area, we can. Now, we do try to fake the teleport in different areas just to make it seem as if I'm going to be teleporting into that direction to hopefully bait them to think that they can come in for the save. Now, they do end up going for a body block, of course, but this is Borgo. But they do end up slamming on the pallet when I'm nowhere near it, so that's obviously good for me. I'm able to eliminate more resources while also using my build to eliminate other options. Now, I did get a little too close to that pallet, so that does mean I ended up like prematurely canceling the particular what do you call it, the teleport, which I couldn't really intercept it. I figure I can't really pick up. Well, no, I actually did, actually, because I knew they weren't gonna go for the save. I had figured because they had backed up so far. That was actually a very smart play on my part. I actually picked up very quickly just to try to throw them off because I knew they wouldn't be prepared. That's why I knew that like they would start shining the light and they couldn't even angle it correctly, because that's what I do in some situations that they're not prepared. Because if you overcommit to being afraid of the blind, you're gonna end up getting blinded anyway, or maybe saved anyway, because you're gonna have a lot of people like ready to go because you're hesitating too much. And in itself, because they're used to people being sort of afraid of getting saved, it just makes it less likely to get a save because of the fact that they're just thrown off. Now, we have defense of the gen. As you can see, like, we got somebody out of the game at the 3 gen mark. This is why I constantly say you need to eliminate at least one of the survivors as soon as possible in order to provide a competitive advantage in every game, really. It's very important, I would say, to do that, especially as a character like an M1 killer like this. It's very important to do so. Now, once again, Dream Pallet value. I'll call it out every time I see it. That's once again Dream Pallet value. Because they're asleep, and you got to keep that in mind when you're playing Freddy. Like, you can keep following the survivor and cutting off the angles, but also keep an eye on, are they asleep? And then from there, whichever they decide to do, as you can see, once again, Dream Pallet value. They don't have any options here. Now, we place on the pallet on us in case maybe they might try to go for the save with the Dream Pallet, because it has happened before, and it's very funny. Now, we know the gen over there is still progressing. We also kind of assume that they most likely are going to be on main building. That's where they're going to heal. We knew that already. Just off of process of elimination. Now, we do get rid of the main building pallet pretty easily. They're trying to go for a blind, which is probably not something they should really be doing. It could be Champion of Light, though. I'm not sure. They seem kind of fast, so I wasn't too sure about that. We do fake that, allowing us to once again get the M1 on them now. So overall, pretty solid, I would say. We can then replace that with the pallet and go for the pickup. They're obviously healing under hook and stuff like that, which allows us to then bring them over to that same hook and start providing more pressure that way. And of course, we already knew that they were going to rush out that gen by the shack. They always kind of do that when they're losing. They try to rush out gens even faster than before. But like I've said previously, because I've gotten the Meg out of the game so soon, and because I had anticipated that they more than likely were going to rush out the gens, I was able to kind of keep up at the same pace as the survivor because I figured, just assuming that the gens would be flying, we need to eliminate a survivor as soon as possible. Now, we know the direction they're running to. I go and start to fake the teleport to try to corral them to go into a different direction. As you can see, the Ada just got massively finessed, as you can see, because of that play. So we immediately just take them out, take them out of the game, and put them on the hook as soon as possible. And why was that the case, right? We hid ourselves while we can, and tried to cut off the angle as to where we predicted they would run to, while we were faking the teleport to corral them to go into that direction. They start panicking, looking behind themselves, thinking, oh, he should be behind me by now. Because of course they're going to hear the lullaby as well. They're going to be thrown off, and then that obviously leads them to make a mistake. Now, you're obviously going to have the naysayers saying, oh, it's just the survivors are just bad. But no, like, they really just don't know what they're actually talking about. Because when they're going against Freddy's, they don't do things like this. They're not going against, top level, or Freddy mains or anything like that. So they just automatically assume that that all Freddy's are just terrible. But that's not how that works. Either way, don't listen to the naysayers. Just, you got to do your own research. You gotta use your own mind. Think for yourself. And I'm showing the games unedited, so you guys can see the exact flow of the match, because I figure that is the most important thing about looking at certain gameplays, is to see it without the cuts, without the editing and the ways to make it look better than you really are. Like, I figure if you show the gameplay in its entirety, you get a much better feel for the match and a much better understanding of how the flow of the match was changed due to certain decision making and stuff like that. People just may not really see the game that way. So as you can see here, we're able to get them on the hook. We wait a second, because obviously the 4% can happen. It's usually 104%. I know it says 4%, but it certainly feels like 104%. And that's why we tried to play it safe by waiting that out, and then that's why we end up getting the free hits there, obviously, in the free hook and yada yada yada. Now we'll show one more match so we can really get an understanding of how I've been playing Freddy, and I consider him to be one of my favorite M1 killers to play, because of just the sort of like what do you call that, like a trickster sort of mentality when I'm playing the character, really trying to kind of mind game with his different things and his different parts of his kit to provide a competitive advantage. And I'm actually looking over the builds there. They had, like, the Jill had overcome. That's why they kind of flew so far away. So let's just jump right into the next one. So we're going to dive right into the third match for the video. Utilizing Freddy, utilizing the build I like to use on him. And I figure we're also, just the same build as before with the paintbrush and stuff like that. Now, in the very first gameplay, I was using the drawing add-on to increase the percentage of recharge per survivor in the dream state. So it was actually, it's on base kit 15% for each survivor, but then if with the extra 3%, it increases it to about 18%, I believe. So that's good to have, obviously, in some situations. Now, here I was trying to kind of mind game it, assuming that they would want to like vault and rotate around, but instead they decided to just kind of stay in there and kind of hide. I really was kind of a bit confused there. I don't really know why they would do that. Which I guess I shouldn't really be surprised. A lot of survivors are not very skilled at the looping aspect of the game, so I kind of expected that. So now you're going to see here, we do kind of use a little bit of a mind game here, so making it seem as if we're going to the right side. We push it to the left, and then he immediately gets finessed. An aspect of playing Freddy and other M1 killers is definitely going to be your footwork. Now, there is a hook back there. I looked at it twice, but I figure I'm going to try to push the addon toward the center of the map where most of the action is. Now, realistically, I probably should have just hooked in the corner of the map, because it would be a lot stronger to do that. It reduces their options, especially when main building on this map can be quite powerful, especially against an M1 killer. But I had figured, with a down like this, and we also found the gen that it has the most amount of progress while the other survivor kind of just runs off. This will allow me to buy some time, but as you can even see now, a gen just finished and another gen is 99. Gens are very, very rapid, very, very quick. And this is why I constantly am promoting for everyone to be utilizing these strategies that I utilize in my videos in order to, you know, keep up with the match. You know what I'm saying? Because of the speed of gens and because of how easy it is to obtain second chances and whatnot, you do kind of have to utilize the frowned upon strategies if you do want to have fun and if you find winning fun, obviously. Now, if you enjoy losing, I mean, like, you know, to each their own. But obviously, I personally like enjoying the win and stuff like that, and utilizing the killers that I like from the different, you know, movie franchises and their representations in the game. Now, obviously, we're utilizing these strategies here once again because you got to keep in mind, like, there was 2 gens that were pretty much done at the same time. So what I have to do now, as you can see, boom, we're already at 3 gens. That means that I'm already behind. I need to get somebody out of the game, and that's going to be the Addon, because he's proven that he's not going to be the strong player of the team. So that's obviously who we go for. Now, I know that he's definitely a weakling by just the pre-dropping aspect, just the fact that he just refuses to actually try to loop. He's more so about, you know, deception and hiding, not trying to really be in, like, you know, like in my face or anything like that. And because of that, he became very predictable. So as you're gonna see here, we just immediately down him quite easily. And the other one, I think it was the Nancy or something, trying to shine through the hole there. The Kate is also in the area. Because of the altruism, obviously, will then also give me a bit of an advantage. Because you got to keep in mind that in their minds, they're just like, oh, why is he doing that? But when you're on the other side of the coin and you go, yo, like, I just lost like 2 gens after like 1 chase, you have to keep up, right? So you're like, okay, I have to go after this guy. Now, this one apparently was in just trying to hide in the locker, I guess, to wait for me to leave the area. So because they're giving up, I figure we put them in the back of the basement to provide another competitive advantage. I know it's a little bit of a minuscule, you know, thing. And I think a survivor was trying to wake up, maybe through the skill check, potentially. But we had the paintbrush, so obviously that doesn't mean anything, and then Kate continues to quit. Now, we go ahead and just give a hit to Cheryl so we can put her in the dream state. The Nancy's like closing in for a body block, so, you know, the game is basically over. They're not going to save Kate at all. She gives up, so we try to mind game it there. It doesn't really matter, but I figure Nancy is actually my teammate now. Because if she's going to keep running around with the flashlight and not doing any of the objectives, then what I can do is just go after Cheryl, and then that'll actually bring Nancy in to follow us. So that'll also mean, you know, even though we're winning the game, I'm still going to continue to apply pressure. And that's why I faked the pickup there by looking down. And then obviously the dream palette from earlier that I said, once again, comes into play. We get the pickup. And then obviously now we go for hooks. Now, in this situation, when a match ends pretty quickly, you know that the unhook is coming soon, you know. You got to keep that in mind. Once you are dominating a match, you may end up seeing a 4%. And as I turn my back, that's exactly when it happens. So I figure that now they're going to start slamming down pallets, you know, I guess out of frustration or something. I don't know. Which is strange. You know, I don't know if you guys are seeing that, but I don't have a dream pallet spot there. I don't know if that's like a bug or something, but there's no dream pallet spawn there. So that's a little weird. As you can see, everywhere else there is, but so it seems like they're really in love with the check spot, so that's why we want to go ahead and just vault right in. It seems like it did kind of have to push them away from the shack, so they are going toward this area. So we have Spirit Fury Enduring, so whatever option they want to go for will then just be eliminated. They ended up kind of trying to spin around. I guess they weren't confident in their ability to reach the pallet there, so that's why I dramatically stand there and stare at them for a while so they can really just, you know, think about what they've done in this particular match. because they certainly tried it. So thankfully we're able to go ahead and place them into the basement, just for the extra, you know, seasoning on top, you know, really to bring it on home that they did end up getting finessed. And utilizing strategies like this will make a lot of teams fall apart because they are used to going against killers that are going to play fairly, or going to trade out hooks and try to one hook everyone at first. And I guess are not really concerned with a win, which there is nothing wrong with that. But keep in mind that survivors don't really play to any rules themselves, so they are going to take advantage of, say, your desire to be nice, and then obviously flip that around, and then proceed to obviously teabag you at the end of the day and stuff like that. Now, thankfully, I was able to put them side by side, really make sure that they all know. That they all got finessed. But I stay within the area just in case, because I want to make sure that it might not be like another 4% or anything like that. And then obviously now we just teleport, and then we can just pretty much close out the video. So I'd like to thank you for watching. If you made it this far, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things for me. Join the Discord so you can submit your gameplays for match reviews, so you can get better at your favorite killers. Also support the channel with the links in the description. Become a member. Join the cult, and gain access to exclusive content and other things like that, exclusive perks, emotes, and whatnot. That being said, hopefully I'll see you in the next one.